Hey, what's going on, folks? Curtis Wilkerson here with Inside Arkansas in the pod at the Palace, or should I say outside Arkansas? Should I say inside Lexington? Because that's where we are. We made it. Recording from day one here outside Rupp Arena. Took our flights this morning. Smooth sailing, man. XNA to Chicago, Chicago to Lexington. A little bumpy on the way to Chicago. I was fine with it. John Neighbors was freaking out a little bit, but he survived. Hey, we made it. Now it's relaxed. Those guys are currently setting up for our Inside Arkansas live show, and I wanted to walk around, check out Rupp Arena, do a little pod at the Palace recording. We're going to be down here. We might as well take in the sights and sounds of Lexington. So here we are. Hope I didn't give you vertigo. Behind enemy lines, Rupp Arena. Pretty cool town so far. I'm really intrigued. A lot of nice people too. Everybody that we talked to has given us all kinds of food recommendations, restaurant recommendations, bars if that's our thing, stuff to do. Obviously the game is going to be on Saturday. That's what we're going to be checking out. But really nice people, and I got to tell you, every single person to a T so far that we've asked about John Calipari, it's been the same thing. Love him, miss him, great head coach, great man. It was time for a change. It sounds to me like there's going to be quite a bit of appreciation for John Calipari, but then, you know, they all had to throw in there, but we want to beat his brains in Saturday night. That's the way it should be, right? So I think he might get maybe a little bit warmer of a reception from Big Blue Nation than he expected. We'll see. We'll see, because, you know, once the gates open to this place over here, I have a feeling that it's going to be a wild, rowdy atmosphere, and it's going to be charged up in there. I think when he's announced, get a nice little ovation, nice little welcome, and then Big Blue Nation's going to be out for blood. We'll see if Arkansas is up for the challenge. This is really cool. You know, I'm disappointed that this game has lost a little bit of its luster, and it's okay to say that. It's okay to admit that. It's true. It's the reality of the situation, and frankly, it's Arkansas's fault. I mean, Kentucky's kind of held up their end of the bargain here. Picked up an incredible win, honestly, over Tennessee on the road. Went over there without a couple starters, went over there without a point guard, and left Knoxville with a win. Arkansas knows firsthand how difficult that is to do, but they were struggling a little bit, and that kind of got them off the schneid. They needed that. Arkansas had a chance to get a little bit of momentum back after such a slow start to SEC play, 0-5, and got the win over Georgia, had Oklahoma right there within your grasp and let it slip away. So not the momentum that they wanted. And, you know, like we talk about, why is College Game Day not here when they're promoting this game so much? We know how big of a storyline it is. Well, that's why. I mean, you know, Arkansas 12-8, 1-6 in the SEC. It's taken a little bit of shine off. We thought maybe this was going to be a situation where you know, both teams were ranked, and that would just kind of add some fuel to the fire. Instead, Arkansas is coming in here as a massive underdog. Maybe that helps them, right? Maybe it puts the chip on their shoulder. I think they're going to already have one anyway, to a degree. And that's one thing that I think people haven't been talking about quite enough. Obviously, the biggest story, I apologize for the wind, I'm outside, obviously. But one of the biggest parts of this story, frankly, it's the players. You know, we hear so much about John Calipari making his return to Rupp. Of course, that's a huge story. That's a big deal. He was here for 15 years, 4 Final Fours, national championship, won a lot of games. We know how it went down. It was polarizing at the end. But this is going to be I'm sure, very emotional situation for some of these guys to deal with. We're talking 3 guys who have played in this arena, 3 guys who have a lot of memories here, 3 guys who were not only recruited to Kentucky but came here, lived here. They call it home for at least one season. We're talking about Adu Thero, DJ Wagner, and Big Z. Obviously, what are those emotions going to be like for them? What's the reception going to be like for those guys? I'm really curious to see what it looks like. I think it's going to be pretty warm, but you never know. I think people get it, right? Yeah, they left. They followed Cal. Cal was the guy that recruited them. I don't know that any of those guys would have been super great fits for Mark Pope. Maybe Big Z. That would have been interesting, probably in his system of offense, the way he's able to stretch the floor and shoot threes at the 5 position. So maybe, you know, there could have been something there. I don't know. But there's definitely going to be a rush of emotion for those guys. They're going to see a lot of familiar faces. They're going to be in that visitor's locker room for the first time. What kind of motivation are they going to face? Because it would have been one thing, again, if Arkansas is playing a little bit better, to come in and say, hey, listen, we made the right decision. There ain't no doubt about it, and we're going to prove to you why. Well, now there's still something about that self-validation that you could get, the level of satisfaction that would come for those guys coming in and having a big performance in Rupp in front of their old fans, their old team, and get out of there with a dub. If you think you're not motivated by this, you're crazy. They absolutely are. I bet Thero gets one of the biggest ovations, period, of anybody. And I think all three of those guys are going to be in the starting lineup. We know DJ is going to be in it. We know that a dude Thero is going to be in it. I think Big Z should be in it at this point with the way he's been playing here recently, combined with, obviously, the fact that Jonas Adu hasn't been playing particularly well or that much. So all three of those guys might get announced in the starting lineup. Thero was beloved in Lexington just like he's beloved in Fayetteville. That's going to be he made the point that when he comes back here, he will have played more games in Rupp Arena than anybody on Kentucky's roster, and that's 100% true. I mean, that's an accurate statement, and so it's going to be just like coming back home for him. That's going to be a fascinating part of this. DJ Wagner's story is a little bit different though, right? Came in as a true freshman, heralded top 10 5-star McDonald's All-American. You know the drill with John Calipari. We all get it. Didn't necessarily go according to plan. He caught a lot of flack though for a guy that averaged 10 points over 3 assists per game as a true freshman in the SEC. Why? Well, it was because how Cal used him, or maybe people felt like he was played in favor of Reed, Shepard, Rob Dillingham in that starting lineup. What kind of reception is he going to get? How's he remembered by Big Blue Nation? I don't know. We'll find out. And obviously there's love there for Z. When he came over from Croatia, it was a situation where he wasn't eligible. They were fighting with the NCAA. Big Blue Nation bought that billboard, for the folks of the NCAA to see. That was just kind of a public battle that really weighed on him heavily, and then he eventually got cleared and was able to play and make some memories there in about half of a season with Kentucky. So I'm anxious to see how those guys perform. You can't tell me they're not going to have a chip on their shoulder. You can't tell me they're not going to be extra motivated. All three of them are so critical to Arkansas's chances to pulling off an upset. And make no mistake, this would be an upset for Arkansas to come in here and get it done, but it's not crazy. It's not crazy to think that it could happen given all the circumstances here. How are they able to channel and harness the emotions that come with this? We'll find out in a couple days, but all three of them are so key for different reasons too. Dude Thero's your best player, and to win games like this, your best player's got to show up and be able to get the job done. So if he's at, he had 4 shots against Oklahoma. You can't have that. Now, what are the keys to getting to Dude Thero shots? Because a lot of people are saying, how the heck does Nelly Davis get 16 shots and Dude Thero only gets 4? Well, it's because Davis gets himself freed up for his shots. He can create his own shots. Now, he doesn't make them, I get it. But for Thero, if he's not able to get a lane, then people just shut the water off on him. So then he's shooting contested jumpers. That's not what you want. Can he create his own shots by creating some havoc on the defensive end of the floor, turning it to offense, getting out in transition where he's so good, crashing the offensive glass and getting those easy ones, those putback, those hustle points. That's where he does his work, and that's going to be crucial for Arkansas in this game. DJ Wagner, obviously, taking over the point guard role. We know how important that is for Arkansas. Will Kentucky even have a point guard? What is that going to look like in this one? And then with the way they defended Tennessee, basically saying, hey, we're going to let you guys shoot all day as long as it's the guys that we want to shoot. Tennessee hoisted 45 threes. They're going to be going underneath those ball screens on DJ Wagner. Is he going to be able to step up, make them pay, and knock down some threes? Critical for Arkansas. And then obviously everything he does at the attack defensively. Kentucky, not a great team defensively. Struggle guarding the pick and roll, defending the pick and roll, where you got such a unique weapon in Big Z at 7'2", 240. Will they look for him as a lob threat if you have that opportunity in ball screen action? And then how do they defend him in the pick and pop, where you're going to need him to step up and knock down some threes for you? I'm fascinated to see what it looks like for these three guys. It's one of the coolest parts of this story outside of the obvious, which is John Calipari making his return. What is this place right here? Lex Live? reminds me of like a mini little ballpark village or something in St. Louis, or like Texas Live. You guys go to Arlington for that baseball thing. Games, dining, events, cinema, bowling, esports, Sunday breakfast buffet from 10 to 12 or from 10 to 2. It's like my kind of place, man. I have to check that out. That's cool. The other thing, and I don't think anybody's really been talking about this, is what is this going to be like for Carter Knox and Billy Richmond? We could say Boogie Fland. Obviously, he's not playing. But again, these are guys who were, yes, committed to John Calipari, but they were also committed to Kentucky, right? And so they took their official visits to Kentucky. They were sold on Kentucky and Rupp and everything they had going on. They probably had put down the deposit on their dorm rooms or whatever, signed off on their meal plan, whatever you want to say. They were prepared to make that move, and then their world got turned upside down when all this went down with Cal, and now here they are. So what is that going to be like for them? Probably a little bit of a surreal moment. Surreal might be the best way to describe what this entire situation is going to be like. But we'll see. That's why we're here early, because we want to take it all in. We want to talk to as many people as we possibly can. And just try to get a vibe for what this is like from the Kentucky side. We know what it's like from the Arkansas side, so we'll find out. We've got a few days to be here. A few housekeeping notes before I get out of here, and hopefully I don't get run over by a car out here. Lexington's a little more, in ways it reminds me of Fayetteville. In ways it's a little more cityish, bigger buildings, a little bit more traffic in the downtown area. I got to watch where I'm going. I got to keep the head on the swivel down here for sure. But yes, Inside Arkansas Live. We're going to be doing it. It's going to be normal time back home, noon to 1:30. It'll be 1 o'clock for those who are down here in Lexington. We're going to be at the KS Bar, so the Kentucky Sports Radio Bar. We're going to be live down there Thursday and Friday, so be on the lookout for that. Saturday, we're going to be doing some stuff for the Kentucky Sports Radio guys. Still trying to hammer out the details with that and the timing. And we're thinking about doing something pre-game related. If we can find a good place to do it, maybe we can get some Arkansas fans out to hang out with us before the game. It doesn't start until 9 o'clock local time, so we got to do something. It's ridiculous to have a game this late. And then remember, the Pot at the Palace post-game show after the game Saturday, we usually start right after the final horn. It's going to be a little bit longer than that because we're going to be at the game. We want to get the post-game handshakes, the reactions, the final reception for Cal, all that stuff. And then we got to hoof it back over to our place and get set up to go. So it'll be about 15 minutes or so after the end of the game. But there you have it. Little day one, little sights and sounds. I don't know how good my selfie stick game is. I'm no Trey Biddy, not yet anyway with this thing. He's a maestro with it. Sometimes you learn from the best, but cool stuff out here, man. We're excited. We're happy to be here. We got some cool content coming from you, and appreciate all the support and for everybody staying tapped in. And I'm gonna get out of here and get back and go get ready to talk for 90 more minutes on the live stream. So appreciate you guys. Always been Curtis at Wilkerson with Inside Arkansas on the Pot of the Palace. We'll catch you guys tomorrow. Everybody have a good one.